Upon Vienna that its full effect appeared, the Janissaries, then the Sultan's order, struck their tents, and all the spoil which had been swept into the Turkish camp, and which could not be carried away, was given to the flames. At the same time, the disappointed and savage soldiery commenced a general massacre of thousands of Christian captives, whom the deadly activity of the Akinji had brought to enduring the 3 weeks of the siege. The fairest girls and boys were preserved to be led into slavery, but the rest were put to the sword, or thrown yet alive into the damp flames without mercy. After this last act of barbarous but impotent malignity, the Turkish army retreated from Vienna. Chapter 10. Wars and treaties with Austria, conquests over Persia, Austria tributary to the Porte, exploits of the Turkish admirals Barbarossa, Piri Sidi Ali, Durgut Piale, Soliman's domestic tragedies, deaths of Prince Mustafa and Prince Bayezid, siege of Malta, siege of Siget, death of Soliman, extent of the empire under him, army, navy, internal administration, laws, commands, buildings, literature. A peace was concluded between the sultans and Ferdinand in 1533, by which Hungary was divided between Ferdinand and Zapolia. Soliman had in the interval again invaded Germany, with forces even stronger than those which he led against Vienna, and Charles V on this occasion, 1532, put himself at the head of the armies of the empire, which gathered celously, what that means I don't know, around him, a decisive conflict between the two great potentates of Christendom and Islam were anxiously expected, but Soliman was checked in his advance by the obstinate defense of the little town of guns, and after honorable terms had been granted to the brave garrison of that place, 29th August 1532, Soliman, finding that Charles did not come forward to meet him, but remained posted near Vienna, turned aside from the line of march against that city. Hi, hi. Vienna turned aside from the line of march against that city, and after desolating Styria, returned to his own dominions Each probably of these two great sovereigns was unwilling to risk life and empire and the glorious fruits of so many years of toil and care. What is toil? And the event of the single day. And Nada was sorry that his adversary lukewarmness for battle furnished a creditable excuse for his own. The warlike energies of the Ottoman were now for some time chiefly employed in the east, where the unremitted was that enmity of Persia and Turkey, and the conquest wars between these two great Mahometan powers were a cause of reliefs of Christendom, which our diplomatists of that age freely acknowledged. Suleiman led his armies against Persia in several campaigns: 5033, 5034, 5035, 5048, 5053, 5054, 1554, during which the Turks often suffered severely through the difficult nature of the countries through which they traversed. What's traversed? As well as through the bravery and activity of the enemy. But the Sultan effected many important conquests. He added to the Ottoman Empire large territories in Armenia and Mesopotamia, and the strong cities of Erivan, Mosul, and above all, of Baghdad, which the Orientals call the Mansion of Victory. The modern Turk who seeks consolation in remembering the glories of the great Suleiman must dwell with peculiar satisfaction on the tokens of respectful fear which his nation then received from the most powerful as well as from the weaker states of Christendom. And the year 1547 is made a peculiarly proud one in the annals of the House of Ottoman, by the humble connection with which it rivaled the Austrian House of Habsburg, was then compelled to make its superior through strength and fortune. The war in Hungary had been renewed in conquest of the deeds of John Zapolya in 1539, upon which event Ferdinand claimed the whole of Hungary, while the widow of Zapolya implored the assistance of the sultans in behalf of her infant son. Suleiman brought his armies into that country, and in 1541 and the following years he again commanded in person on the banks of the Danube. He professed the intention of placing the young Prince Zapolya on the throne of Hungary and Transylvania, when he should have attained the age manhood, but often and the other chief cities were now garrisoned. What is garrisoned? With Turkish troops. The country was allotted allotted into sanjaks, over which Turkish governors were appointed on the Ottoman provincial system was generally established. The strong cities of Gran, Sturweisenburg, and many others were taken by the Turks in this war, and so their success was not unvaried. What is varied? Unvaried. The general advantage was so far on the side of the Sultan that as early in 1544 Charles V and the Ferdinand made overtures for peace, and 1547 a truce for 5 years was concluded, which left the Sultan in possession in nearly the whole of Hungary and Transylvania, and which bound Ferdinand to pay the Sublime Porte 30,000 ducats a year, a payment which the Austrians called a present, but the Ottoman historians more correctly term a tribute. This treaty, to which the Emperor Charles, the Pope, the King of France, and the Republic of Venice were party may be considered as a recognition by Christendom of the truth of Suleiman's letter Shaibi Kiran, Lord of the Age. Austrian pride, indeed, had previously stooped so low before the Sultan, that King Ferdinand, when seeking peace in 1533, consented to style himself the brother of Ibrahim Suleiman's favorite minister, and thus to place himself on the level of Turkish vizier. Francis I had repeatedly sought the aid of Suleiman in the most deferential and submissive terms. That aid was more than once effectively given by the Turkish invasions of Hungary and Germany, which compelled the Emperor to draw the weight of his arms from of France, and still more directly by the Turkish fleets, which were sent into the Mediterranean to attack the enemies of the French king. England, during the reign of Suleiman, had no need of foreign help, but we shall see her in a reign of Suleiman's grandson when menaced by the power of Spain, have recourse to the Sublime Porte for aid and protection as respectfully and earnestly as the proudest follower of the Prophet could desire. We have hitherto directed to chief attention to the military history of Suleiman's reign, but the awe which the Ottoman Empire inspired in this age was due not only to the successes gained by the Turkish armies, but also to the achievements of the Turkish navy, which extended the power and the renown of Sultan Suleiman along all the coast of the Mediterranean and in the more remote waters of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. His predecessors had devoted much care and treasure to the maritime force of their empire, but they were all surpassed in this respect by Soliman, and the skills and valor of his admirals made the Ottoman flag almost as formidable by sea as it was by land. The most celebrated of the Turkish naval commanders in this region was Hayrettin Pasha, better known in Europe by the surname of Barbarossa. It was principally by his means that the practical states of North Africa placed themselves under the sovereignty of the Sultan, and that the naval resources of the Sublime Porte were augmented by the commodious heavens, the strong forts and cities, the well-built and well-found squadrons, and during the skillful crossairs of Algiers, Tripoli, and Tunis.